have those keys?
Shiloh's my youngest, yeah. He's going into his senior year. You remember when he was a baby? Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to welcome you out to our Thursday night board meeting on June the 30th. Jeremy, if you'd like to do a roll call for us. Because just for everybody home, Jen's not here this evening, so we've got some folks out on vacations and different things. And
Yes. I'll start here. Stephanie Ahmad.
Here.
Eric Heitz.
Here.
Rich Carnation.
here,
Bill Adams.
Here.
Malinali Lopez. Absent. Jackson Calgary.
Here.
all right, thank you. Is there anyone here that would like to have any public comment on any closed session items that we had? All right, seeing none. Actually, I'm just going to say right. Actually, let me skip on down. Flag salute. Yep. Eric, could you please lead us? Thanks.
If able, please stand and face the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Eric. Okay, Jeremy, Superintendent Decker, is there anything you'd like to report out of closed session?
There is. The board took action to approve a resolution based on anticipate significant exposure to litigation pursuant to the government code section 54956.9 D2.
Great, thank you very much. All righty, any adjustments to the agenda? Anybody? I was curious, we have 5.1 and 6.4. Jessica, do we want to,
We could eliminate 5.1, just do 6.4.
so so 5.1, we'll just skip and
Yeah.
we'll just cover it in 6.4. Very good. Just want to make sure. Okay, so we're going to skip. I know, I was like, okay, very good. Any other items, anybody? All righty, let me see here. So any public comment from anybody at this time? All righty. Please announce your name for everybody.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Mike Roche. I'm the police chief at the Windsor Police Department. Bill Adams asked me to come say a few words today regarding the Windsor Middle School DC trip that I chaperoned. I was one of the chaperones. I won't make this a really long thing because I know you guys have a lot to cover. Kelly Hunter, one of the teachers at the middle school, a math teacher, she and I have been friends for a long time. We used to do triathlons together. And oh boy, it must have been about 7-8 months ago. I was over at Anna's Cafe over on Old Red and by Star Road having coffee. And she came in there and we talked for a minute and she was about to leave and she backpedaled, said, "Hey, Mike, I got a great idea." I said, "What's that, Kelly?" She goes, "Hey, how would you like to chaperone the DC trip?" Because she's always told me about what a great time she's had and how educational it is. So I said, well, give me the dates, Kelly. And she did. And I said, well, let me get back to you. Within a week, I confirmed that I could do it. So I was one of the chaperones, and we had 138 of us went June 9th. We came back really late on the 15th. It was a phenomenal trip. For me, it was great because I love kids, first of all. So I've always worked with kids from ever since I can remember, from coaching sports. My mom had 12 of us. So yeah, big family. So anyways, it was just a great bonding experience with the kids. I developed some great relationships with the parents and some of the other chaperones, and we saw some really historic places. One that jumped out to me was the Holocaust Museum was really profound to me because my mom's side were Jewish, and so that was jumped out at me. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s monument was just phenomenal, how detailed it was and all the great quotes he had on the wall. And the kids got so much out of it. It was great. And Gettysburg was awesome. It was jam-packed from morning till night, and they didn't have a lot of downtime. But it was such an educational experience for these kids because they learn all these things in school, and then now they have some relevance to it when they go see these things in person. They can draw from that. But I'll tell a quick story. One of the kids, Zach, the cool thing was I really made it a point to learn everyone's name. I had 32 kids on my bus. I knew every kid's name by the end. It took me a little while, but I had everyone's name down and all the parents and other adults that were on the trip that were on my bus. So we went to one of the museums, and the Wizard of Oz, Dorothy's slippers were there, and I wanted to see that. So me and one of the parents wanted to go, and one of the kids, Zach, he said, hey, I'll go with you. So we got over there, and there was like a statue of Dorothy when you enter where the slippers are. And I told Zach, hey, you stand right there. I'm going to take a picture. And he goes, do I have to? I go, yes, you have to. So I took a picture, and then later his mom was on the bus, and I sent it to her, and she just loved it. So it was a great experience. I developed some great relationships, and that's especially in law enforcement in this day and age where, we have some negative stuff in the media often, and it's really good to have those positive interactions with the kids that builds trust. And I ran into one of the kids last week out the town green, or actually at the Pride Festival, and I said hi by her first name. I knew her first name. Her mom was with her, and she says, hey, how does the police chief know your name? I said, Ella, why don't you tell your mom? And so she said, hey, Mike was on the trip with us. So it was a great experience. I was really happy that I was able to go, and it was a great trip. We saw so many neat things, and like I said, it was really an awesome experience for me. I would do it again, even though it was really tiring. 8 miles of walking a day and about 5 hours of sleep. So thank you. Thanks for letting me come up here and share that.
Well, and thank you, Chief, for coming. Don't step away yet. To me, that's typical of what is the example that you have with like Deputy Tamayo and retired Deputy Fletcher, who have that rapport with kids. And we didn't have the SWAT team at the high school on the 25th of May. They came and talked to their cop.
Yeah.
And so thank you for that. I think that's just immeasurably important.
Oh, so do I. Well, thank you very much. Enjoy your meeting.
Thank you.
And I'm going to lock up at the end of the night. At least everyone's left. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks. Is there anybody else here that's not on vacation that would like to come up and speak? Seeing none, we will move on to superintendent's report.
I only have one thing. I just want to welcome Sharon Ferrer as our new Assistant Superintendent of Ed Services. It's her first board meeting as that title. So she's not started officially. She starts in a couple of days. And you'll get the PAO here pretty soon. But Sharon, welcome. We're excited.
I was wondering why you were, no, I'm just kidding. Very good. Thanks, Jeremy. I don't see any staff folks here for staff association reports. Board of Trustees, Any reports or anything that anybody would like to bring up?
I will.
Stephanie?
On the subject of Sharon coming in as Assistant Superintendent, we have our Director of Educational Services, Lisa Saxon, moving on to become Superintendent in Wright School District. And we, as a board, wanted to just spend a few minutes talking about the impact that you've had on the district and really thanking you for all of your service over the years. You've been a steady hand through such interesting times. I mean, such unprecedented times, and you've filled a number of different roles. And I think we're just very, very grateful to have you as the leader you are and as the person you are with the integrity that you have. So I know I won't capture everything in my, 30 seconds of acknowledging what you've done, but I hope that you leave feeling loved by our board and our broader staff and community, because I think we do very much appreciate what you've done. And I don't know.
I'll go next. So indirectly, I've known Lisa for like 20 years now. So our kids went to the same daycare when they were little. They're both college graduates and professionals now. And so that's exciting for us to have that to be sharing. But also you've been in this district almost that entire time as middle school and at the district level. And it's very impressive that you stayed here for so long, and proud of you for moving on. It's a good thing to be the head boss now, and looking forward to great things. Kind of want to call you the queen of distance learning. You got everybody through that aspect when we were in a superintendent change and principal changes and lots of chaos happening at the state and federal levels, and your level-headedness got us on track. We did a lot of work in the summertime. We did a lot of meetings on Zoom, and I don't think the district would have been in as good a place without you during that time. So I applaud you for that, and look forward to seeing and hearing more from you in the future, and hope you do well and enjoy Wright School District. So thank you.
Lisa, I bet some folks that I could say something that would bring you to tears. But then I decided not to talk for an hour. So I just want to say that sometimes in the last couple of years, 2, 3, 4 years, you've probably felt very heavy burden from time to time with a lot of the things that you needed to do that maybe sometimes wasn't your job, maybe sometimes wasn't your responsibility, or that you were doing things that was over and above the things that were needed. All those things and all those trials and tribulations have refined you to where, and given you experience to where you're now the qualified person to actually go and be that superintendent for Wright. And so when you look back at Windsor, I hope you think fondly through all the struggles and the trials. And as Eric and Stephanie have mentioned, the different things that you've had to, whoever figured we'd have to go through COVID and figure all those other different things out. And yet you did. So they're getting a really good deal by getting somebody with the amount of experience and grit that you have. And we wish you all the best. And like I said at the last meeting, you have elevated Wright School District to where everybody in Windsor knows that there even is one now. So good luck to you. We know you'll do awesome. And you always have a family back here that you can always refer to for help and ask for help. And let us know how you're doing. But we appreciate your service. Thank you very much.
Yeah, ditto all that. And thank you. It's the crucible that, forms the iron of our character. And I think, as I wrote a personal note to you, the leadership and the turmoil is what has helped us succeed continuously. And so much of that happens behind the scenes. We know it. And I think you have helped us make better decisions and be better informed. Again, some of which is talked about here publicly, some of which is when we're in closed session. And for that, I am very, very appreciative. I think many people don't really get what it takes to run a school district of 5,000 people with a $60 million budget, and then everybody has to get a computer and learn within a week how to go to school remotely, as you did 2 years ago. So thank you, Godspeed. And as Rich said, you have a family here. Let us know what we can do, and we wish you the very best. Thanks.
I didn't want to steal anybody's thunder. Is it okay if I say something now? I didn't want to say it before you.
I'll speak really quickly.
All right.
I haven't been here probably as long as everybody else, but I do know Lisa through LCAP, and that's been really, really valuable for me to meet a lot of people. I actually met our president through that meeting, but that I can't imagine how that's going to go now that you're gone. I can't imagine that group being incredibly well organized. But congratulations on your promotion. I guess it's cross district, but still. And thank you for working with me through LCAP.
You know, I came into Windsor at a weird time. I don't think anybody realizes just how much Lisa did for this district. I really don't. She made me a better superintendent. She really did. She's helped me learn this district. Without Lisa, I'm nowhere. I don't know half of what I know now because she knew everything. And I don't think anybody in this district realized the value that she really brought to this place. And guys, she's held this district together through some tough times. And I just want to say, I recognize you. I see what you've done here, and I appreciate it. You're going to do great things for all those kids like me and Wright.
I think you are up now.
Would you like to say anything, Lisa?
That's what I was just gonna, I didn't know, I'm thinking, is it appropriate to ask?
We can get her. We get her
Do we
with a
want,
weeper.
do we want to give her a second to kind of compose? 'Cause
Well,
I-
looked at me.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't prepared to speak, but I'll just say that it's been an amazing 15 years, as you very well have summarized. I've had a steep learning curve, and sometimes it was trial by fire. Many times it was trial by fire. And I have appreciated the degree to which I've been able to work with all of you through thick and thin, through sometimes very uncomfortable times, and sometimes very celebratory times, and sometimes very sad times, and sometimes very frustrating times. But we have managed to do that through honest and civil discourse and teamwork, and I will always take that with me. So thank you.
Thank
Very
you.
much. Good
Actually,
luck.
I have to say this. It popped in my head. Lisa, when I first got on the board, I asked people around that I knew and I've known for a long time. And I said, hey, you know, I don't really know them super well. Tell me one word about each person. I kind of went to the district office, right? And I said, what do you know about Lisa? And the person said, super smart. And I go, that's 2 words. But super smart was how you were defined. So that is a pretty cool thing when people think that you're pretty smart, or super smart, actually. It's better than pretty smart. So I just wanted you to know that was what a lot of people, your peers, thought of you as super smart. So very good. And now we'd like to turn over to my colleague, Bill Adams, the consent items.
Yep. I would urge the board to consider and make a motion to approve consent items numbers 4.1 through 4.10 as listed. I am not aware of any that need to be pulled or any conflicts of interest amongst my colleagues. I'm seeing heads shaken. So with that, I will make a motion to approve those 10 consent items and look for a second.
I'll second.
Any public comment on the consent items 4.1 through 4.10? Okay, seeing none, may I ask for a vote?
Yes.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
aye, 4011.
All righty.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good.
All righty, moving on to 5.1. We're actually going to skip, we're not going to skip. We're basically consolidating 5.1 and 6.4 together. And so we're going to jump now to 5.2.
Six now, or are we going to wait till 6?
No, we're going to wait till 6.
Want to make sure we got it.
So we're going to take 5.1, consolidate with 6.4. We're going to go through 5.2, universal pre-kindergarten, the UPK plan. And this will be presented by Jessica Borland.
Hello. So we just need to get the presentation up on the,
So they can hear you.
I'm doing it. I just noticed that I have that as 5.1.
Yeah, it's different on the online agenda.
What is?
5.1 is the UPK. Extended learning is not even enumerated. It should be 5.2, but it's not listed that way on
Or
there.
on the
I have a
UPK.
different agenda.
Oh, yeah, that's what it says.
Okay, well, I'm on a different agenda then. Let me-
Oh, I printed it off.
I think mine wasn't logged in. Hold on, I think it updated. I'm going back in.
I will, see if I can do
Huh? Yeah, I printed mine out off of the
Oh,
whatever.
it was only 5.1 now.
Yeah, we're talking about this.
Here,
I
Ed.
must
As long
have
as I
done,
all know what's going
I
on.
think it was updated since I logged in, like yesterday.
Yeah, it had been changed since we first.
Okay, so everybody at home,
Okay.
we're actually going to be talking about universal pre-kindergarten plan for this segment right now.
Yes, thank you. So good afternoon, board. My name is Jessica Borland, and I'm the newly hired coordinator of child development services for the district. Though I've been here for 17 years, this is a new role for me. And part of my assignment for this last year was to put together the district's universal pre-kindergarten plan, which is a new mandate from the state of California to try and plan for universal pre-kindergarten for all 4-year-olds. So that is what I'm presenting today. So what is universal pre-kindergarten? It's really a mixed delivery system that includes transitional kindergarten, Head Start, California state preschool programs, private programs, resource and referrals like 4Cs. It's kind of everybody getting together to make sure that there's a good, high quality program for all 4-year-olds the year before they go into kindergarten. Here's just another example of what a universal pre-kindergarten program looks like and all the different categories that could possibly feed into kindergarten. So the age eligibility for transitional kindergarten, which is really our responsibility as a district to ensure that we're offering transitional kindergarten, is lined out here. So this year we had to serve all the students who turned 5 by December 2nd, and it's going in 3-month increments until 25-26 when we're mandated to serve all children who turn 4 by September 1st. So they're pushing it back that full year. Us as a district have decided to go ahead and serve all students, and there's many districts that are choosing to just kind of go all in. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a little bit later. But this is really what the state's plan is to kind of roll it out a little bit more slowly. Here's another example of those same birth dates. You see that there's the TK model and then there's the ETK model. And really what that is it's early transitional kindergarten versus transitional kindergarten. And in state law, you can see all of the blue is considered transitional kindergarten and all of the white is the early transitional kindergarten, and it kind of falls under a different category of serving transitional kindergarten. So the report that I uploaded has focus areas that the state has asked us to look at for our vision and how we're going to roll it out. Our first focus area is vision and coherence. So what is Windsor Unified School District's UPK vision? We really want to provide high quality learning opportunities for all 4-year-olds using a mixed delivery system. And does it look this crazy on, I'm not sure what happened here. I apologize to anybody who's
It looks fine on the PDF. I think something is happening.
wonky?
Yeah,
Okay.
But don't worry. We see it. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not sure what happened when I put it on the drive. Anyways. Okay, so we want to offer a mixed delivery system. So in this last year, one of the agencies I worked really closely with was 4Cs, and 4Cs pointed out that Windsor is actually a childcare desert. We have lost a lot of childcare slots due to COVID and the pandemic, mostly what we had here was small family childcare facilities that served under 16 kids, and we've had over 50% of them close due to COVID and the pandemic in the last 2 years. We are slowly opening back up, but we're nowhere near where we were pre-pandemic for childcare options for our families. So really, we've been working with them to try and figure out how we can offer more services to our families. We've also been looking at talking to private programs to ensure that that the curriculum that they offer is going to be high quality. Because again, that's part of the UPK model is we want to support all of the programs that are in our area so that they know what students are going to be coming into when they come into kindergarten. And then we're committed to. This looks really wonky. We're committed to making sure families know what all of their options are, because it is an option to still have private childcare for preschool, and we want families to understand that that's still an option for them. And then we've also applied for the California State Preschool Program expansion funds. And so in the future, we might be able to offer state-funded preschool for lower income families. And then this again is just the mixed delivery model. What does it possibly look like in our facilities and in our classrooms? We could have TK and California State Preschool Program combo classes. We could offer standalone TK classes, standalone California State Preschool programs. There's also the Extended Learning Opportunities Program, which I'm going to go over later. But we could do combo classes with our TK kinder kids in a California State Preschool program and possibly utilize both those funds, or just have combo classes where we've got state preschool class students along with the ELOP students. And then obviously the ETK and TK combo classes are going to be pretty normal because we are opening up our TK to all 4-year-olds. And then our TK enrollment plan is that we're going to offer it to all 4-year-olds who turn 4 by September 1st. We're going to keep our ratios to a 1-to-10 ratio. So the state of California has offered us to go to a 1-to-12 this next year, but then the following year we would have to go to a 1-to-10. And we've decided that we're going to do our best to go just to a 1-to-10 since we have so much younger children in the classroom. We really want it to be a high quality program. And then since I applied for the CSPP, I am looking into offering those ELOP CSPP combo classes too, which will allow them to have a 9-hour day. Yes.
Do you mind if I kind of stop the flow for a second and ask a couple
Yes,
questions?
that's fine. Yes, please.
I could wait till the end if you'd rather. But
No.
a couple things. So being a teacher myself, I want to ask the question. I think I know the answers, but I want parents that are out there hearing it. What are we doing about credentialing? Or are the staff we're using for these jobs credentialed, trained teachers, or are they a daycare provider situation?
And they absolutely are credentialed. They have to have 24 units of early childhood development and multiple subjects teaching credential to teach TK. And that's actually one of the things that I'm covering a little bit later in the slides.
Good.
Yeah.
And can we afford the 1-to-10 ratio?
There's actually a lot more funding that's going to go into to TK. The state realizes that this is going to be a cost to the district. And so our hope is, yes, we're going to be able to afford it. I'm also trying to tap into the CSPP funds to see if we can bring in a little bit more dollars to help support that.
Can I speak to that a little bit, Eric? So in our budget that you guys are hopefully approving later, we did a set aside for this because we are obviously not receiving funding for about half the kids who are going to be enrolled in our program. So that's coming out of general fund. Or if we get the CSPP grant, which we are very good candidates to get, then that'll offset what we have set aside for general fund. And then that money is back in the general fund, if that makes sense.
And we may get funding for some of the students who turn 5 this year. So is on their 5th birthday, we will start getting ADA for them. If they turn 5, on February 5th, then we'll get ADA starting February 5th for the student too. So here's our community engagement and partnership. Yes.
Just so we're clear, so if a student is in, they're not 5 yet, we get no pay, but on their birthday, then we begin to.
So a student whose birthday is after February 2nd, we would start getting funding on their 5th birthday after February 2nd. Any student whose birthday is before February 2nd, we get ADA from day 1.
Oh, very good. Thank you.
Okay, so here's community engagement and partnerships. So one of the things that I did this year is I created the early learning care and parent advisory committee. Sorry, really long name. And really what I wanted to do is I wanted to reach out to families and I wanted to learn what their needs were and what their concerns were. And I invited parents, community members, and providers in the area because I wanted to get everybody's input on the rollout of UPK. And also I want them to support what the district's doing because there is some fear about us taking the younger kids from preschools and private providers. So I got some really good feedback. We had 4 meetings. We did a lot of thought partnering, and I've included all of them in this planning. And then I also reached out to 4Cs and local providers and just, talked to them Four Cs was a huge thought partner in this. They really helped out a lot with our plan. We are part of the Sonoma County Child Care Planning Council, which is a county-wide council that has all kinds of different providers from all kinds of different areas, and they've been a huge thought partner for the entire county. And then we partnered with the Sonoma Marin Boys and Girls Club to do some planning for our before and after school care and our ELOP and some staff development together. And then again, parent choice is huge for the state. They really want parents to feel like they have a choice in what UPK model they choose. And so, just letting families know that they still have a choice, helping, create more choices in the town, bringing in that CSPP, opening up TK and ETK so that there's more options there, having the ELOP so that it offers a longer hour day, and then working with community partners. And then again, collaborating to ensure that, all kids are receiving what they need to be ready for kindergarten. Here's our kind of a mock schedule. So we're going to try and offer before and after school care that could be the ELOP program or CSPP. And then there's our instructional day. And part of the CSPP grant and the ELOP requirements is that we offer more than just the 180 days of instruction. There has to be a minimum of 30 days of intercession for those students.
Jessica, will you explain what ELOP stands for?
It's Extended Learning Opportunities Program.
Before and after school, CSPP, California
Cali
State
State
Preschool
Preschool.
Program. So two very different things, but anyway, just
I
make
was
sure.
going
you
to
know.
ask the same question. So just because I think it's helpful.
Yeah, so the Extended Learning Opportunities Program is a different a grant that we're going to talk about a little bit later today. And then, California State Preschool Program is something we applied for that's a competitive grant.
So I have one question. Looking at the 11 hours, so now we have, at least on the clock, teachers are working 6 or 7 hours a day. They have a prep period. There's caps on that. I'm married to a teacher. We have one up here. I know everybody works more than that. But does an 11-hour day mean that we have 1.5 FTEs to cover that? Or is that the same person? Or is it divided between different levels of expertise? Help me understand that a little bit.
It's divided between different levels of expertise. The instructional day is still your credentialed teacher, and your CSPP or Extended Learning Opportunities Program can be someone who does not have a credential. The CSPP requirements, which I'm going to go into a little bit later, do require some ECE courses. The ELOP is a little bit less strict for their
ECE, Jessica.
ECE.
is
Early
ECE.
childhood education.
Yeah, just want to make sure.
And just when you thought they ran out of acronyms.
Early
they made a
childhood
bunch more.
education.
There will always be more in teaching.
Yeah.
Education.
Sorry, they're just so comfortable in my tongue that I forget that other people don't know what they are.
Another question, and again, you may get to it later, but it comes into my mind as we're talking. So you mentioned that we're starting this ahead of the game, and many other districts are also.
Mhm.
How about our neighboring districts like Hillsborough, Mark West, Pioneer Olivet, Forestville, the ones that are within 10 or 15 miles that parents could bring their young children to if they're working here in the community, or they want something for their kids that's not available other places? Are we kind of a magnet potentially for them? Are we going to advertise in those areas that we're doing this early? What's the plan there?
I think that we've been doing as much outreach as we possibly can. And I have a list of who's starting early, and I don't have it with me, so I could get that back to you though.
I can tell you a couple of them. Healdsburg has Basic Aid has no incentive to start early. So Healdsburg, Geyserville, West Side, although West Side has been doing they kind of do things their own way. So they may take a couple of kids. I don't believe Mark West is not starting early. I don't know about Forestville, but our directly surrounding neighbors are not doing this. I know Wright School is, I know Rinka Valley is.
Arona Park is.
Yeah.
Super,
We all met early. Previous soup.
super smart day.
Yeah. Okay, so here's our workforce recruitment and professional learning and what our teacher requirements are. So I want to point out that the state does realize that there's going to be a huge need for individuals that have some early childhood development units. And so they've developed a $100 million state funded grant. And we are actually part of the SCO cohort to apply for that grant. So we've applied for some of these funds to support our early education teachers through SCO's, with SCO. And here's what our TK teacher requirements are. So by August 1st of 2023, all TK teachers will have to have 24 units of early childhood education or a teaching credential. A child development teacher permit, which is also issued by the Commission on Teacher Credentialing. Or as a district, we can, grant them that we feel like they've have enough experience to have 24 units of early childhood development. And then this is what the preschool, the state preschool program requirements are. So there's kind of a hierarchy with the preschool. You have to have a site supervisor and a lead teacher that's got 24 units. And then every cohort of kids need to have a lead teacher, which needs to have 12 units of child development under their belt, and permits issued by the CTC.
Jessica, can we back up a little bit? So we didn't have to apply to become a California State preschool, right? We didn't have to do that. You can offer preschool and not follow some of these guidelines, but then you don't have access to the funds. So we decided to jump in, and it's a lot of requirements, and Jessica has really learned how to navigate them, but just want to make sure everybody understands that.
Yes.
And those 12 units and the 24 units, many of those can be achieved at a junior college or something. They don't have to go to a 4-year university to get a degree to be able to do the extended care and things. So we can maybe try to grow some of our own potentially.
Yes. So yes, the 12 units and the 24 units can both be obtained just going to a junior college. And if they wanted to get the teaching credential, obviously they'd have to get their bachelor's and a multiple subject credential for the TK part of it. But the CSPP, California State Preschool Program requirements do not require a bachelor's degree.
And Jessica doesn't know this. I just sat down with Dr. Chong. We're on a board together. He's the Santa Rosa Junior College president. And we talked about this. And I know you had wanted to reach out and kind of create a relationship. So I discussed it, and we're going to meet and see what kind of relationship we can have with regard to this.
Nice. Okay, so here is, okay. So here's some of the teacher supports that we recognize, our staff are going to need. And there's some of the staff are already working on diving into the California State Preschool Learning Foundations and the California Preschool Curriculum Framework. Both of these have been out for a number of years, and they have in the past been a requirement to serve kids for the first half of TK. But with the UPK rollout, a lot of districts and teachers are really realizing how important these are. And so our teachers are looking at them again to ensure that they really understand what the foundations and the framework says. And then we've got some universal design for learning workshops planned for some of our TK teachers for next year. I know GLAD training is taking place at Cali for our Cali teachers to have like bilingual supports in the classrooms. And then where there is conversation to talk to Head Start next year and collaborate with them to see how we can have a relationship with them and their teachers too. And we're working with 4Cs. If we do get the CSPP, then we're talking about doing some collaboration with 4Cs to do some staff training.
Jessica, where is, when you say local Head Start, is that at one of our school campuses? I should know, and I don't know where Head Start is operating here.
It's on Star Road, and it's closer to Old Redwood Highway on the right side.
In a separate facility?
It's a separate facility, yeah.
I know what you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah. So here are some future professional development areas that our teachers have asked for or SCO is offering. And I can say we're really lucky. I've talked to a lot of districts that are throughout all of California, and our Office of Education has to really embrace the UPK, and they are a huge support, and they really want to have a high quality UPK in our county. And so they're offering some really phenomenal professional development opportunities for UPK staff, including private preschools and 4Cs staff and stuff too. So, our cohort of UPK teachers really want to learn more about what play-based learning is, and ensuring that what's happening in the classroom is intentional and somewhat student driven, but very teacher supported. And I've got a neat little slide. I think it's the next one that kind of shows what that looks like. And then, working on assessment and running records, and how do we assess our TK students? In the future, if we do get the CSPP, we're going to need to do some development around the desired results developmental profile, or the DRDP, because it's a requirement for state preschools. And it's even something that we've looked at with our current TK teachers to see if it's something they're interested in utilizing without CSPP.
Another question that popped in my mind. We've talked about it in the past, but I want to clarify it for everybody out there. So we've got Sharon in the building here, and she's been involved with Cali forever. She'll be missing that, I'm sure, but won't give it up. I know that. How are we going to manage the Cali students? Will UPK students be going to Cali? I know we have a space issue. We have building construction happening, all that kind of thing. And will those kids have an automatic in to be in traditional kindergarten once Cali just does that, so they don't have to do an application process and such?
Sharon can talk a little bit more about it, but I know really what our responsibility in the UPK model is to do TK. And Cali had a TK last year. They had 2 classes of TK. Next year, I believe you're gonna be at 3. Yeah, 4. Okay, so they've got enough teachers to do 4 TK classes next year. And yes, all of those students will automatically go into kindergarten. The CSPP might be a little bit slower rollout. If it's outside the TK classroom
Right.
at Cali, because of the space issue, we do need to plan a little bit more for that, and there's less space there.
And I know the Cali teachers are a little strict, or maybe not strict, but protective, I guess is a better word. Could that 4-year-old program be on Maddie campus or somewhere else? And then when they get to TK, they then come to Cali? I don't know if that's an option, but
The early
Something to
TK
ask.
will be at Cali too. We're going to serve all students at Cali too that turn 4 by September 1st. And I'm actually very impressed with Cali's proposed program, because it's going to be very music and arts based for their TK, the early TK.
Ideally, we'd have 6 classrooms, correct, Sharon? 120 students, so that way they could move as a cohort throughout.
Yeah, so that would be the entrance point to Cali would be TK, but we don't have it staffed for next year, so.
Yeah.
We keep growing, and we're kind of trying to grow to 6 ideally, except we need 1 more classroom for 6. So I think 5 is our max now, correct?
Well, we have 4 classrooms.
We have 4 right now, plus those other 2 that we've talked about, right? Okay, so there's 2 potentials, but there's some hurdles to get through to be able to use those 2 classrooms.
And we're actually going to be at a 1-to-12 ratio next year.
Oh.
Because of staffing issues, so.
Yeah. Well, 1 year after, it's going to have to be 1 to 10 because it's a requirement.
But ideally, Cali would have 120 TCARES. That's really the takeaway, I think, here.
Okay, so is there any more questions before I move on? No? Okay. So our next focus area is curriculum, instruction, and assessment. So our curriculum, we're really working closely with SCO and their UPK advisory. We're part of the UPK advisory committee to get feedback from all stakeholders on, what would be the best curriculum assessments and how we're going to deliver it in the classroom and stuff like that too. And then we've talked about doing a lot of training about what's developmentally appropriate practice, making sure that things are, again, play-based, teacher-directed, and child-initiated. And then we're drawing, from the California State Preschool programs and the Learning Foundations and ensuring that it's culturally and linguistically responsive to our students. And this is the slide that I was telling you. This is like a dream model where really 50% of your curriculum walks through the door. And I'm just going to give you a super fast example of what this is. If you have kids who are out on the play yard and they notice ants and they're really fascinated with the ants, you can bring that fascination into your classroom. You can bring it into science. You can bring it into your math. You can bring it into your language arts. Just bringing that fascination into all the aspects of the curriculum that you want to introduce to the kids. And you want it to be play-based. How do you set up ants and ant colonies in your dramatic play area? Just things like that. Just really being mindful that what the curriculum that you're bringing in is play-based and it's student-centered and it's their interest. And then in curriculum instruction, we are part of a P3 cohort, and there's a bunch of districts in California that are really looking at making sure that we have coherence between preschool through third grade with our learning and our assessments. GLAD again from Cali. I'm excited that they're going to be bringing in GLAD, ensuring that our teachers understand the social emotional needs and learning of the younger student, and then training opportunities through SCO, again, desired results for our assessments, and then facilities, services, and operations. And all these focus areas you guys have in that other plan. So we've, as a district, we have really looked at what our long-term goals are for transitional kindergarten and preschool. And I know Jeremy's, he's really looked at expanding preschool as one of his goals before the UPK and extended learning opportunities programs. This is what he wanted to bring to the district. So our facilities are looking at what our long-term vision is in all of these areas and ensuring that there's going to be space for them.
Can I speak to that just for a minute? So we did apply for the TK grant for facilities. We weren't a good candidate, so we got a 0 out of 100 on the score, but that doesn't mean we won't get it in the future. So it's simply because we are not one of the high unduplicated pupil percentages districts. That's going to go all there first. But we applied, we'll keep applying. It sounds like there's a lot of support for this and that every district who wants to get funded will get one cycle of funding. That's what we've kind of been told off the record. So we're hoping that next year we potentially could get more TK funds and we could do a lot of the planning, which we've already discussed kind of how we would incorporate more classrooms at Maddie. Not as much about Cali, but more so at Maddie. We have some ideas. Anyway, it's being worked on. I guess that's the moral of the story here, and there is funding available.
And my last slide is just about services. I've been working with the transportation department to ensure that they know that, they might be dealing with younger kids on the bus and have a plan for that. And we've been talking a lot with food service to make sure that the food delivery is something that's accessible to the younger students, ensuring that the apples are cut and not whole apples. And possibly talking about bringing the food into a TK area so that the kids don't have to walk all the way across campus. But we're still in all those discussions. And I'm wondering if you guys have any questions.
Yeah, can you go back one slide? Is there really a thing called apple milk?
I don't know.
No, I mean, I just wanted you to know you were trying to catch us on.
That is apple milk.
That's I'm going.
Ketchup is a vegetable, yeah.
Ketchup is a vegetable.
It is actually a vegetable.
I was
Yeah.
more looking at the hot dog. I don't know, but
I know.
And
Well,
don't you like the rounded lunch, the chips,
I
the
did
hot
like-
dog, the cookie?
I did like the fact that it was bus number 1. So that's like, hey, kids, this is the first bus you're getting on. And so I like that. And then I was going like, and the bag of chips obviously was a no-brainer. But then the cookie what happened to the cookie? It disappeared. But apple milk, I was going, is there a thing called apple milk?
I don't know.
Okay. I was like, I've never heard of it. And I'm thinking,
That may be a typo. I think they maybe mentioned that one.
I'm glad that you noticed it because I just was looking for some clip art for.
You were
student service.
wondering, you're going like,
Yeah.
do these guys really pay attention to our presentations? And the answer is yes. Anyhow,
Good
thank
to
you.
know. Good to know.
Very, very nice presentation. Thank you.
Okay.
So you may have mentioned it, but just so it's in my mind, we talked about the 4, maybe adding a little bit more at Cali. How many classrooms do you anticipate starting with in the school year at Maddie?
So we have enough to start. It's 4 at Cali. That's at the 1-to-12 ratio, and then we have almost 5 classrooms, full classrooms at Maddie.
Are we still looking to recruit students for that?
Yes.
Or is that, so,
Yes.
is that we've stood it up space-wise, logistically, staffing, we have that capacity, but now we're looking to see if we can get those students in the next 45 to 60 days?
So TK has become part of the K-12 system,
Okay.
and we have to offer it to anyone who is in our area and qualifies.
Okay.
So it could be, Bill, that your son or daughter turns 4 or 5 in this case, depending on which one, in January, they can then start. They don't have to wait. They don't have to apply and step in
Right.
September or August when school starts.
Okay.
They can step in late in the game a little bit, but they're available to begin that program as soon as they age in.
To answer your question, I think you're talking interdistricts though, Bill, mostly
Okay.
correct. And we have not put a cap necessarily on our transfers. So everybody thought I was nuts when I said 120 students was what I thought we'd get and what we were shooting for, and we're getting close.
Yeah.
But we do have some classrooms just in a different area. It's not ideal. They don't have bathrooms in them. It's not perfect. But we could expand if we needed to, if there was significant interest that comes over the summer.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you.
Wait, let me make sure I understand. So we have 5 classrooms that are ideal, that are filling, and then,
We have 4 classrooms that are really ideal.
Ideal.
And then
Okay.
beyond that, they're not ideal, but we can accommodate, well, how many is it? Austin would know. We've done this.
So we are opening up a 5th classroom at Maddie, Susan
Mhm.
said, and then there's 4 other classrooms that do not currently have teachers assigned to them at Maddie that we could.
and how
potentially-
many kindergarten classrooms are there at Maddie? Like that they would be feeding into?
That's a good question. I think that she's got 6 kindergarten
I
classrooms.
think it's 6.
6 at 22 each or something.
We're down, we're actually at 20. We're under 20. Next year, we made that decision. We added a teacher to make sure we went under 20 to 1 for our class size in kinder.
And when you talk about the ratio, like 1-to-12, 1-to-10, so that means there's going to be 24 students in a classroom
With an extra
with
person.
2
yeah.
teachers?
At Maddie, I mean
Okay.
at Kelly.
And then at Maddie,
It's gonna be
With an
10,
aide
20.
though, Stephanie.
an aide.
Yep.
Sorry, an aide and a teacher. And then at Maddie, 2
20.
groups of 10.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, I have a few comments. I'm just so excited about this. Like, I feel like I kind of manifested this, like, even though I know it wasn't me because it's coming from the state level and it's state funding. But like, I know that coming on the board and even my own experience as a parent, it just felt like it was so hard to find, well, I found great preschool in Windsor, but I mean, the fact that you can do this for free like that. And it's, you know, you've got people with early childhood education credit and who have training. I think it's a great thing. And I think the before and after school programming is going to be so helpful for working parents with young kids who are just trying to manage a lot of different pulls on their life. And so I know the hours seem probably a lot, thinking 11 hours a day, but you're not necessarily using that whole 11 hours every single day. So I think it's just such a wonderful, like, grouping of resources that we're able to offer our parents with young kids. So I'm very excited. Thank you for the thorough presentation.
And I'll be back with the extended learning opportunities one later.
All right, actually, if you guys, if we don't mind, between 5 and section 6, we're gonna take a 5-minute break. All right, well, good? Then we're gonna take one right now. Thanks. All right, I'd like to welcome you all back to our meeting. We are now going to jump to 6.1, consideration of approval of Windsor Unified School District's 2021-2024 LCAP. And this will be brought to us by,
Lame duck.
he said lame duck. I did not say that. No.
Sorry.
I guess when you,
Out of sight, out of mind there,
I
Linda.
shouldn't
There
be
we go.
talking.
Lisa Saxon, super smart
Goes
Director of
Pete.
Educational Services.
All right, so this will be short and sweet. Per requirements under Ed Code, the LCAP was delivered to Parent Advisory Committee, AKA the folks, the parents that participate on our LCAP Core Committee. Actually, the entire LCAP Core Committee got it, as well as DLAC. And that is under statute so that those folks can ask questions or provide input or feedback prior to the official adoption of the LCAP. So that has happened. It happened right after the public hearing. So there's been a good chunk of time for people to be able to ask questions or respond. And at this time, some comments, some thank yous, but no questions and no input and no feedback. So it is ready for your approval, and hopefully then SCO will approve it as well.
Great. Is there any comments from, or questions from the board?
I will, if not hearing any comments, I will make motion to approve item 6.1, the approval of the LCAP for Windsor Unified.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I'll just, again, as I did 2 weeks ago, Lisa, say thank you. I remember when we did the very first one of these, when it came down from Mount Sinai on stone tablets, and it's been a work in progress, and thank you for helping it evolve. We'll be seeing a great deal of you, Madam Assistant Superintendent, on this, but yeah, I think the process, as Jackson shared, we do a lot of things well, and I think amongst the things we do well is this now, and we were ahead of the curve early on, and so thank you again for your legacy on that.
Very good. Do we just vote to accept this, or is it a resolution? Do we have to-
No,
Okay,
it's just approval.
so we
Just
have,
approval.
do we have a motion and a second? We do?
Second, yeah.
All those in favor? Aye. Any,
I did say it.
I heard you.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I like to actually,
You want to do it separately?
well, yeah, what I do is you're special. So I
Great.
want to go get to 5,
401.
and then shine the light on you.
Aye.
That, there we go. I like it. So that is 4, 0, 1, and 1. And that passes. Thank you. All right, moving to 6.2, consideration of approval of Cali Language Academy's LCAP, also by Lisa.
Same thing.
Same verse, different school.
There you go. We will take that. And do I have a motion to approve this?
I will move to approve the Calicomaca 2021 to 2024.
And I will second 6.2. Any discussion amongst the board? Oh, shoot, I made a boo-boo. Let's just keep going.
Okay.
Any discussion?
I wanted to thank Lisa and Sharon. I saw that action 1.30 was added, and there's a VAPA salary on there. So I think having that symmetry between the breakout of certain portions of our certificated, and for some of these things, it may be even if we break out so we know sort of foundational levels of effort, protect even some of our non-certificated classified staff that are working in areas so we know the baseline. But thank you. I think that's, I did had one question. I noticed there was $500,000, and at 1,100 students, that's about whatever that is. But it was for the integrated and designated ELD. And there was about 896,000 for the rest of the district, which has the other 2/3 of the kids. Is there just a more intensive program? Because I saw that there was literacy support for English learners. I would imagine literacy support for Spanish learners at the early primary grades. Is there just a broader emphasis and need in the Cali model to invest at that level? It appears that there's a higher level of investment in that's designated here.
We get a bit more supplemental funding.
Ah,
We have higher
okay.
anticipated
That answers the question. Okay. 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 Thank you. Yeah.
All right, thanks. So we have a motion, we have a second, and I would like to go out to public comment if there is any. And I'd also like to invite anybody that for 6.1 that I kind of skipped over, not seeing anybody. We will close public comment and we'll take a vote. All those in favor?
All right.
Aye. Any opposed? Student board trustee?
Aye.
There we go. That'd be 4, 0, 1, and 1. Thank you. Moving on to 6.3, request to recognize provisional interim permit for 2 new teachers at Cali. This will be presented by Pete Sullivan, our new Director of Human Resources.
Yeah, hi, thank you. I'm just going to go ahead and repeat what Rich just said. It's just a request to recognize the provisional interim permit for 2 new teachers at Cali. The PIP is going to allow us to fill immediate staffing needs by hiring individuals who have not necessarily met the subject matter requirements of that position. And it's something that we are having to do because we're on the squeeze right now. We have, the CTC is now insisting that we present these items as action items and not consent items, which is why I'm here today. We have a full record of having posted and having attempted recruitment and tried to move teachers who have the appropriate credentials into those positions, and we have failed at all efforts. So we are hoping that these teachers can fill those positions.
Great, thank you very much. Any
My only
comments?
question is, Pete, I was surprised to see it because we have seen these occasionally, not routinely, the PIPs and consent. What was the genesis or rationale behind the CTC change of policy? Do you know, other than probably abuse in some South California district in some way?
Yeah.
So now, Jen, can you hear me?
Hi, Jen. Hi, Jen.
No.
No. That's just an information question. It's not really that important.
So
We want to make sure the people at home get your debut.
Sorry, I
Oh.
thought it looked green, but now it's really green.
Art was not one of the specialty subjects?
But no. My personal experience with this has been that this was my first PIP. Thank you, everybody. It was great. And so I sent the appropriate paperwork to Hunter at SCO, and he balked at it a little bit. And he said, I'm reading this, and it looks like this, if I'm reading it properly, it was a consent item, and the CTC is not in favor of these items being consent. They want them discussed and accepted by the board in public. And so we just repost. Basically, I repackaged the paperwork and I included the information I did in the documents, and I'm here to present. I don't know why or if it was changed recently, or if it's just something that they're recognizing now, or if it's I just stuck my hand up and asked the question when it's like, keep your hand down. Yeah, but
I think
So,
it may be that there's such a need for staffing now. And they want to make sure that every district's doing their due diligence and not just brushing it under the carpet that we tried a little bit, but not really, So they're being more cautious. And just for edification, these teachers are expected to and have a deadline to complete units to become credentialed.
Understood.
It's not just an ongoing, they continue for 10 years. They
No.
have to finish it soon. So.
it's a maximum of a year that they can operate under this permit and a minimum of 6 months. And then they're enrolled in a program which when they exit, they will have the appropriate credential, but it's called an intern credential when they exit.
Well, thank you very much. And thank you, Eric, for that.
Yeah.
Further, I would move to approve them.
All right,
Thank
so
you,
we have a motion by Bill Adams. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Stephanie, any other discussion? Anybody in the audience that would like to comment on this? Okay, bringing it back to the board. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, student board trustee.
Aye.
All righty, that's 4, 0, 1, and 1.
Thank you. I'll leave the mic on for the next person. So.
All righty.
Back to Jeff.
Now we're going to move to 6.4, which is a consolidation of also 5.1, extended learning opportunity, a new acronym, the ELOP.
Isn't
Hey, if
this
they're
all
going to
so
make
much fun?
acronyms,
ELOP. They don't like ELOP.
they don't like ELOP?
No.
The English string band.
Okay.
Okay.
So Jessica's going to explain that's our new acronym, our newest acronym. Thank you. Welcome back.
Our extended learning opportunity plan. So this needs to be approved by you guys and posted on our website after it's approved. Okay, so extended learning opportunities plan and extended learning opportunities program is a new program that's been designed by the state of California to offer before and after school programming or a 9-hour day. The requirements are, and I'm sure you guys have already read this, and I talked a little bit about it at the last one, so I'm just going to kind of brush over this. So the requirements for it is that we have to offer a 9-hour day for a minimum of 175 days of the instructional day, plus 30 days of intersession, which is summer programming, winter break, spring break, 30 extra days beyond the regular instructional day. Here's the funding source for it. So it is Ed Code now. There is a set funding stream for it, and it is ongoing. So this is not one-time money. This is planned to continue in future years. These are what our allocations were for this year, and this was what the projected ones were. Though they just came to an agreement, and the projected ones are actually about 50% less than what is on this slide. It's quite a bit less. They're rolling out a little bit slower than they were thinking they were going to at the earlier in this month. So yeah, unfortunately. And here's our requirements for funding. So anything beyond the instructional day can be considered part of the Extended Learning Opportunities program. It could be enrichment. Yes, Rich.
So, not to interrupt, but I'm going to be quick. With those extra funding and these extra things it's allowed for, just my little coaching hat kind of jumped on and said, hey, so can part of these funding go towards summer camps that are put on at the school that our different coaches could put on? And also it could be considered enrichment. I'm just thinking outside the box. I don't want to really, it's just things I want to put out there that we can start thinking about as since this is a kind of a new program of ways that we can tap into these funds. Because I believe this is the one I read later that if we don't use them, the funds go back to the state, correct?
Yes, we do have 2 grace period years. This year, the funds can be used next year, and next year's funds can be used in the
So we can roll a little bit.
Yeah, but after those 2 grace period years, you're right. If we don't use it, we do lose it.
Yeah, so I remember like the VAPA funds, Jeremy. I think we missed an opportunity to capitalize all that grant that we just didn't have enough time to. Maybe we could have purchased some, if I remember right. There was a little bit of funds that we could have maybe got some instruments or some different things. But with this, I think that this is broad enough to where we should suck the pennies out of every dollar and utilize these here and not wait.
And as a district, we're definitely very open to looking at all of our options. It is funding that is targeted for TK through 6th grade.
Okay.
So it would be something for the lower grades.
Got it.
But yes, some districts are, including busing as part of their 9-hour day. Family choice of, after school enrichment, arts, music.
Yeah, because
Rich.
part of this, the other thought, I just want to throw this out there. When you're dealing with the town of Windsor, we might be able to take some of our funds and some of the town's park and recs funds and put them together and get even a more dynamic result for our kids with some summer programs by marrying those. It's another opportunity for us to work with the town and do even better for our kids. So
Absolutely.
that was it.
So yeah, basically anything beyond the instructional day in enrichment for kids could potentially be used. These funds could be used for. And so what is the district's plan? This is kind of what you guys are voting on today. We developed the WELL program, which is the Windsor Extended Learning Lab. And I know that we had come to you guys to talk about a name, and this is kind of the name that we settled on was the Windsor Extended Learning Lab. WELL, it kind of rolled off the tongue pretty nice, and it was easy to translate. And we developed it for our TK through 2nd grade. And that's what we're planning on serving next year is TK through 2nd grade. And we have a partnership with the Boys and Girls Club to serve our 3rd through 6th grade students for after school programming. The WELL program, the Boys and Girls Club doesn't serve before school. And so the WELL program is going to serve TK through sixth grade for the before school portion of the day if it's needed. At this point, I only have 3 Brooks students who've signed up for before school needs. So we'll see if that's really a need for the community. We are offering 7 weeks of summer camps this summer, and have plans to offer 1 week of winter break and the week of spring break for this year, with potential add-on days depending on community need and staffing, whether or not we can get staffing. And then we both have subsidized slots and fee-paying slots for families. And so we want to make sure, even though the Extended Learning Opportunities Program funding really targets your lower income UPP unduplicated student, we want to make sure that we're offering services for everyone in the community. So we did plan to serve fee-paying families too. And here's our partnership with the Boys and Girls Club. So we did develop an MOU so they would serve the 3rd grade students. We have joint staff training throughout the year. We did do a week of staff training at the beginning of summer to start off our summer programming. We want a seamless transfer between the WELL program and the Boys and Girls Club. We want to ensure that all of the students are getting served and that they feel like it's seamless and that there's no gaps. And then we're going to serve the before school students since they're not quite ready to do that yet. And then here's our current enrollment requests for the district. As you can see, there's quite a few families that are requesting before school and after school. Keep in mind that my
I'm sorry, just real quick, how does a parent or somebody that's listening right now, how do they get their student, no, go back to the next one, the Maddie, how do they get their, how do you know, or how does a parent let you know that they want to be one of those, the 24th student before school and the 54th student after?
We're going to touch on that in a little bit.
Oh, okay,
but
I'm sorry.
There is an enrollment form on our website for them to enroll in the
That
program.
was my shameless plugging I was trying to get in, so.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so next, so here's our, I went back, didn't I? So here's our staffing. We did hire a site coordinator for each site for Cali and at Maddie, and that person has a what is it? A school supervisor permit that's issued. It's required for them to have 24 units of early childhood development, and so they are definitely going to be really versed in how to serve our TK and Kinder students. And they'll have staff oversight units and stuff too. And then we're going to have program instructional aides and regular instructional aides. The program instructional aides will be my cohort lead. So I have a 1 to 20 ratio for first and second grade, and I have a 1 to 10 ratio for TK Kinder, and the instructional aide will be my second body in the room for my TK Kinder groupings. And all of those people will be bilingual if they're at Cali. That was really important. I was really happy to get a site coordinator, and I do have both my site coordinators have been hired, and my Cali one is bilingual, and both of them have phenomenal background. So here's our facilities, our current facilities. We are using the 4 unused rooms at Maddie right now since they're not being used by teachers. And then at Cali, the plan is to rotate through the TK Kinder first and second grade. And my TK Kinder before and after school kids are going to remain in those classrooms and kind of rotate through them. And then first and second grade cohorts are going to rotate through the first and second grade classrooms. And I know the Boys and Girls Club is doing the same thing. They're rotating through the 3rd through 5th grade classrooms, and then they're rotating through the middle school too. And here is the enrollment process that Rich asked about. So we do have a Google enrollment form on the district website. We've posted the link to families. We sent it out to all the families. We've put it on our Facebook page. We've really tried to advertise. We passed out newsletters, PDFs at Maddie, and we've passed them out at the town green. We're trying really hard to let everybody know. And we've also, at least in Maddie, we were at in one of their newsletters. And then we've got a enrollment form for free or reduced applications on our website. And then we really want to target more of the ELOP students last year because I've only got about 40 applications for free or reduced. So I think that that's a population that's not getting the message about the programming.
If you could, I'm not sure if you know, but instead of, in addition to the Google form, have a PDF that's on our website or something, because a lot of folks, including me, sometimes don't mess with the Google stuff. So I know and it's not an age thing.
Education thing.
No, it's just Google tries to capture everybody that does their little stuff too. I understand their business model, but so I would just make sure that we also have PDF forms so that way families and people that don't subscribe to Google type stuff can also have an easy way to do it. And it might be an age thing too, so.
Thank you for the feedback.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure this is the case, but it's in Spanish too, right?
Yes.
And then another thought, just like slipped my brain. Oh, are we doing any marketing beyond like, are we going to like Spanish radio, kind of like whatever the radio, the radio station that people are, even English and Spanish radio, kind of like whatever that parental age group is listening to, like those demographics? Are we going beyond? Are we worried about going too far? Because that could be an area where I think with Spanish speakers, you could potentially reach
I
people.
think this is, so with UTK, we're definitely trying to recruit. For this program, I think it's tricky because we're unsure exactly how it's going to look when we get there and how many people we can serve, because we're really trying to hire behind people expressing an interest. And so I think there's a little bit of a worry in terms of how fast we could hire if a bunch of people then expressed interest. So I wouldn't say that we're actively, we're not doing the same things here as we are with UTK. It's more of a service that we're trying to provide the people already in the district, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And then even with Spanish, I'm thinking that's not necessarily who's going to go to Cali. It could be people who are going to go to Maddie. So just, if you were looking to do more, but it sounds like we're pretty good where we are.
I think so. I mean, I think we really want to get our feet wet this first year, figure out kind of what this looks like, and then we'll have a better idea of how we should do outreach.
Sounds good.
And so far I've gotten 318 requests. So we're definitely getting a lot of interest. So definitely part of developing this plan is that, they want us to think about, TK in kinder. Because they want to make sure that we're providing a high quality program that's going to serve the younger kids. And again, for our program, for the district's program, we are going to hire a site coordinator that's got the specialty in the early childhood development units. We're keeping it at a 1-to-10 ratio, which is our requirement, but we definitely want to keep that anyways. And then the possible state preschool program combo classes, that's going to bring a lot of additional resources into the extended learning opportunity program. So if we do get that grant, I'm kind of excited about being able to do those combo classes and have the additional resources and funding to serve a better, higher quality program.
And Jessica, when do you think you'll know about the CSPP grant award or not?
So they were supposed to come out with it on the 27th of this month, and I just emailed them, and they've pushed it back to July 11th.
Okay, thank you.
But Jessica, what was our score?
So our score was a 104 out of 114, and you had to have a minimum of a 78 to qualify. And
We're looking good.
We're actually in a very good position to get it because we are a childcare desert. We actually have a very high population of unserved low-income families, and so with the countywide plan, we score a 3, which is the most needy. Windsor's a 3, and that's what they go off of. They go off of our California State Preschool Program score and where we score in the need category, and both of those are pretty high. So we're in a good position to get some.
One other thing I think the board would be interested in, how many of our staff have expressed an interest in before or after school programming for their children?
47 our staff.
They're bringing their own children to that.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's 10%. That's awesome.
So is that's 47 staff or 47 kids of staff?
47 kids of staff.
Great.
Yeah, of my 318, there's 47 of them that are staff. And then, just making sure that our ELOP program is utilizing the TK and kinder areas of the campus so that it's age appropriate for the kids is my last part of that. And then do you guys have any questions? And I'm all done.
I think you did an excellent job.
Yeah, thanks for letting us pepper your presentation with questions. Do you need, so this is an action item.
This is an
as
action
opposed to
item
the
and I need approval,
Do
yeah.
you- Yeah. Is there things aspirational that you might need, or maybe you come back to us once? I see this as kind of a slow rollout where we're just all in gangbusters on UTK. We're sort of dibbling in the water a little bit, not getting ahead of ourselves. 300 applicants is a lot, but I don't even know if 50%, or really show up to cut the deal. Is there anything that you see now or maybe in the future that if we hear about it comes up, you can give us sort of a fair warning of either, let's say this works out and we want to bump it up and double it in January. Is that even in sort of the realm of possibility, or is it now let's just settle it and see where we are that first 6 months?
I think our goal is to go as far as we possibly can. So if I
Okay.
can get the staffing and the student interest to serve half the district, I would serve half the district. But it's really contingent on, having all of those things fall into place. I mean, that's our goal. Our goal and our message to the community is that we want to serve anyone who's requesting care.
So the restricting factor, staff.
Right. So I would ask, and you all of you can decide as what we need to know, but this may be something that, we have an October update and say, we're on track, we're behind, oh my God, watch what you wish for. We're 200% of capacity, just in case we want to adapt quickly, because I could see this being, it comes out wrong when I say a distractor from our core programs, because to me, it's a builder and attractor for the core programs and stability of the district and help with our staff. But I also see it as one that it's kind of out of the box for us, at least for me. And I think if we're going to grow in this area, some regular hand-holding to move us down that path is maybe, I don't have the same trepidations, although I don't understand it as much as well. UTK just seems like, okay, we're just going a year early in a TK program, and that's what y'all do, and you know how to do that. This is a different animal. And so as the opportunities come up, I want, at least, from this seat, to be real clear. Let us know if there are opportunities, or conversely, knock wood, risks or something goes sideways that we need to be aware of.
If you guys like me to come give you regular updates next year, I would be happy to. I would be happy to come.
I think work with, Sharon and Pete and Jeremy, but I think this is one that periodically, whenever that time is right, that there are going to be, it strikes me, new opportunities. And to the extent that I'm reassured, okay, this isn't overtly disproportionately interfering with everything else that we're doing at the schools. That's kind of not that I'm trying to talk it down at all, but it's, if we would grow, it's like we're going to make it twice as big sooner than 23, 24. I wouldn't be opposed to that, but I would want to know, okay, we're on top of it, right? The growth is there, and this is a net positive, which I think it will be. This is so new that I think we need perhaps some particular handling. You all can work out, when we get that, but I would ask that we may need, regular updates whenever you think that comes up, particularly if there's opportunities to build it and grow
I
it.
think there are. Just a little perspective. So the state backed off of implementation on this. We were going to be required to implement, and they backed off and given us some time. We decided to move forward anyway. And I'm on an advisory committee, Cradle to Careers Advisory Committee. I'm the superintendent rep. And actually, we met about this because their job is to connect organizations with school districts. And so one of the big areas that I've expressed is school districts don't know how to do this. This is hard, and we're ahead. And there are organizations out there that might help. And so we're going at this alone, but a lot of other school districts are simply going to contract for services. So again, I would say we're ahead on TK, but other people are doing it too. There are very few people trying to take on before and after school programming with their district. They're mostly partnering. So it is to you, what you're seeing is real in that we're trying to dip our feet in and figure it out.
And just as a sort of a follow-up, I think we are partnering with some of the pros from Dover through the Boys and Girls Club. They're the ones who do this in our child care desert. And we do have a collaborative grant through some arts stuff that we just got with them. I don't know how much it was. It's somewhere north of $5 million they got from the former Mrs. Bezos's divorce settlement, where she threw, hundreds of millions of dollars towards Boys and Girls Club, and not being glib about it. And I think our folks got, like I said, north of 5 million. So I think that's good to partner with some of the subject matter experts in doing this kind of thing.
So
That's smart. Yeah.
And keep in mind that the requirements of serving our unduplicated students could look like a lot of things. It could be a 6-week enrichment art that's 1 day a week. It doesn't have to be after school care for half of the district. And I'm really interested in making sure that there's a lot of options. That's probably going to be a little bit slower rollout because I'm really working on the before and after school portion of it. But serving all of those students doesn't have to necessarily be something that's super taxing on schools every single day before and after school care.
Any other discussion? I'd like to, thanks for, just hold on a second. Want to open it up to the public?
Can I add just a comment?
Sure.
So I just wanted to draw attention really quickly to the history and transformation of all of this. If you'll recall, about a year ago, we were cooking up this new job description, coordinator of child development. What is it going to look like? What would they do? How would they spend their time? And at that time, we were kind of thinking about funders, right? How would we pay for that? How would we go court philanthropists and get some money? And over the course of the year, you've seen now, not only did new legislation come out and plan requirements and all kinds of acronyms that Jessica has rattled off to you in the last 2 presentations. No apologies necessary. And then, reining funding, right, from the state with all the various strings that have been attached. So I just want to call your attention to that, because it has been no small feat on Jessica's part to do the tremendous amount of learning this year that she had to do in a really short amount of time, and then the heavy lift behind the scenes that it's taken to piece all of this together. And of course, Jeremy's helped a ton. I've been behind the scenes as well, but it has truly been to her credit and on her own that she has done all this research and kept us up to speed on what the latest is, quite frankly, while drinking through a fire hose to figure it all out. So kudos to you. Been a big deal.
Thanks, Lisa.
And
Go ahead.
I know I'm just passionate about this because I've known Jessica since her youngest kid was a baby on soccer fields 20 years ago. Please remind us about that, like Lisa just did, when you're sitting in that chair, and Pete, when you're there, and Jeremy, when you're there. We take that for granted up here. We really do. And not that we're not saying thank you. We are. So when you were saying that, I was just thinking to the person on your right to say, oh, you thought you'd be an assistant principal year 3, and then he learns what he does, and our 14-minute lunch is in the New York Times. But in all seriousness, please remind us of that, because we are constantly, I know, pushing, and we're talking with Jeremy. I'll just leak a little bit of closed session and say, what do you need from us that we're not doing? What do you need us to stop that we are doing? And you all just repeatedly are cutting edge, and I hopefully you feel empowered to do that. But thank you, Lisa, for pointing that out, because truly we are blessed that we don't really recognize. And I was just thinking when you were talking, one of the reasons we like to go get together, other than the chow is good too, when we go to these California State School Board things, is that is one of the only times we have any sense of perspective of how good we got it here. And in growing that. So thank you for taking the time to raise that, because it's good for us to hear and know, and not, we expect it again as we roll into a new school year. There'll be 2 or 3 other challenges and opportunities, but we're truly blessed. And I hope that you all feel empowered to be able to do that, right? We have good, as you said, courageous conversations, sometimes here, sometimes behind the scenes. But I think it works because it's a 2-way street. I mean, you all, I hopefully feel empowered, do it, and can run with it, right, for these things that we're, other places think, they saw, I have some friends on another school board who saw this, said, what are you doing? Is that required? They told us that wasn't required until a year from now. Like, well, we're just going to take your kids. That's what we're going to do, right? Because we're just, like, oh, really? That's how that would work? And I said, we hope that's the case. So thank you for raising that. I think that was my point.
But that's one of the cool things about the direction Windsor's going right now. We were ahead on having on-site testing and some other things this as well. I would like, Jeremy, when you think of new things that we're going to be doing, though, please try to let the folks know that they don't feel compelled to create new acronyms. It's so Sharon, Pete, I mean, it's not a requirement. You don't get extra credit for it. So just throwing that out there.
For the few meetings you've seen us passing notes to each other. Is that the same acronym, the ELOP? Is that one from the other thing?
No, that's why I was so impressed. There is a book, and you found 4 acronyms that haven't been used already. They actually might be in the recycled acronym book, but anyhow. All righty, well, since 5.1 was a report discussion and 6.4 is the actual action item, I'd like to, do we already get a motion on 6.4?
Not yet.
No.
Okay, so I'd like to ask for a motion to approve item 6.4, the ELO-P program.
I will make a motion to approve the Extended Learning Opportunity Program Plan and just say that, Jessica, you're doing an amazing job.
Thanks. And I will second that motion. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? Student board trustee?
Aye.
Aye, so that'd be 4, 0, 1, and 1. Thank you. We're going to move to 6.5. Austin's not here. Superintendent Decker, I believe this is just the mandatory
Correct.
second reading.
So we had the public hearing. We got some direction from the board. We have made the move. So we've allocated $600,000 for UTK to cover in case we don't get the CSPP grant. And then we have also allocated $600,000 for the ELOP program, essentially for the before and after school, based on how many students are actually interested. And we're just unsure how all of that's going to shake out. Beyond that, there's been no change. So
Alrighty.
we're asking for approval.
All righty. Any discussion by board members? I think we already,
Yeah, I would make a motion to approve. I do have just a couple of questions. Oh, excuse me. I would make a motion to approve. I have a couple of questions when we're deliberating.
okay, I'll second that motion, and if you'd like to.
Yeah, and I know Austin is not here. I just wanted to point out a couple of things and maybe as placeholders as we get the 45-day revise or is this, and I believe it is, but is this budget conservative in its reflects some of the new program money, but certainly not other one-time money that may come in through the 45-day reconciliation over the summer?
Correct.
Okay.
It's more conservative in the way that we have done the ADA, the enrollment.
Okay. And just as a reminder for those playing at home, this year we have another safe harbor for ADA back to the February 2020 numbers.
Correct.
And of course, that could change as things evolve. But what is our understanding right now of when that safe harbor using the legacy ADA numbers that are higher than the number of kids we have in the district now? How long does that last? Is that 1 more year?
1 more year.
Okay.
And so one of the things that was adopted though is a 3-year rolling average.
Yes.
And so we did not use the 3-year rolling average, which would help us in our multi-year. So we used what was approved already. And so moving forward, the 45-day revise, now that that has been adopted, we'll probably use a 3-year rolling average.
Okay. The sort of final, two other points. I notice that our contribution, which I understand is mostly to special ed, and I like contribution rather than encroachment. We just have more robust special ed services than some places, is sort of staying flat at 9.2 million, but actually dropping 1% from my numbers on page 1 of 9 of the multi-year from a 22.8 contribution percent to 24-25 at 21.8. And just would like us to look, I know we have a variety of initiatives underway to see, can we get that below 20%? Should we? What would that mean if we did that? Just to be looking at that. But I was pleased to see that on a downward arc. But most importantly, looking at the overall unrestricted and restricted, we have a little bit of clawing into our unrestricted reserves, but then that turns around in year 3.
Yes, sir.
And so we have a deficit spending of a modest sort, and that trend, even with reduction in enrollment, even with truing up, right, having the ADA smoothing, I'll call it, rolling average, not in place yet, we're moving more towards a balanced budget, which to me, all in, when we add the compensation increases, is really extraordinary. So thank you for that. I think this bodes well, and also the advantage from a couple of years ago of when we bank reserves, we don't have the catastrophic consequences that loomed at us right when you were interviewing and taking the job 2 years ago. So I'm very pleased with the budget, and I don't know, and kudos to you and to Austin and to the whole team. There's an HR piece to it. There's, labor, but it's looking good, I think, and we need to take a minute to recognize that.
Very good.
And in addition to that, in consent tonight, we gave increases to coaches and extra duties, salaries, and so that hasn't been done in a very long time. It's one of
20
those bonus things we're able to do when we have a little bit extra. So we're pleased that we can get quality people and keep them from leaving those positions that are so valuable to kids getting extras in the world. So.
Thanks, Eric. Actually, since you brought it up, the coaching stipends, it's been a long time coming. It's the first increase since the first year of our school district for this coaching stipend. So it's been 8 years in coming, and I'm glad to see that is fixed. It was one of the things that was important, being that I coached for a long time. And it's not the money, but when we could see that, anyhow, I'm glad that's accomplished. And so anyhow, and just, I work late sometimes. Actually, I work late a lot of times. And anyhow, I've been on my way home, I drive by and I see Austin here still at the
Always.
school district. And I love the laborer and people who work hard. And I just want I just want to give a little shout out, even though he's not here, that he works hard and
He
he's super smart too. We're lucky. Actually, you know what? I just want to throw this out there. I had somebody the other day goes, how come we're losing some of the people in Windsor? Why are we losing people? I go, because we have really good people here. And when people find out how good our people are here, they steal them from us. Or they make whatever so attractive that they want to go. But we have really good, competent folks here that are doing good things. And so, it's talent seems to, rise to a certain level. And if that level is even higher than they can accomplish, then they continue to provide their great services to places that need it even more than we do. So we're a very good incubator for really good quality, which goes all the way back to the folks who hired, the people like Lisa and others. I'm going to take credit. We'll take credit for hiring you and others along the way. So that's a good reason of why a lot of folks are leaving, because they have opportunities that and they're excellent in their area, and other people need them. And so it's a good thing. But to Austin in this budget, I know he's worked super hard on making sure he knows this thing really well. And so thank you to him as well, and everyone else. But I know he works really hard. So anyhow, with that, if there's no other discussion, yep, we're ready for a vote. We already got the first and the second, and all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? So, and then student board?
Aye.
All righty, so that'd be 4, 0, 1, and 1. All righty, now we're going to move to 6.6, consideration of resolution 2022-27, specifications on the election order. Superintendent Decker.
So this is required to be presented before the board before July 1. So we're there by a day because of Education Code 5304. And so what's being presented to you is a resolution to identify the date of the election, the purpose of the election, and the names of the incumbents and their terms. The resolution is also required to include information regarding a statement of qualifications / tie vote, basically what we're going to do. And then also specifies the party responsible for the cost in publishing a statement of qualifications between the candidate or the district. The required time for payment, the payment process, and the maximum number of words allowed for a statement of qualifications. It's all stuff that's required by Education Code. And so this resolution is explaining what we're doing in Windsor, or proposing what to do in Windsor.
So it's a resolution. Well, first off, is there any discussion?
Thank you for putting it on. I think it's mandatory. It
is.
does require a roll call vote. I will share, as many of you know, in my day job, I represent a lot of public agencies, not for this resolution, but there is slowly a shift underway, sort of in the vein of equity, which perhaps we can talk about from a policy standpoint, of having public agencies shift so that the cost of the statement of qualifications is not borne by the candidate, it's borne by the public entity. I know ours is about $1,000 if there's, because of the number of voters we have, is that's about right. So just something to think about. That is a trend that's moving in that direction in the county. Not that that would necessarily be an entire deterrent. It was not for Malinelli and I 2 years ago because our elections weren't opposed. But if there was, every candidate who ran, if there were contested elections, would need to pay that up front. And that's, anyway, just something to be aware of because that's an evolving thing and that could be a robust discussion. I don't think it's appropriate to do in front of an election, but just something I know about that.
Makes sense.
The only really thing I noticed two things on there. One was felt a little discriminated. The box of keeping it under 200 words was marked instead of 400. It was just a thought. And I also noticed that they listed us by age. Did you notice that, Eric?
I just know I was first.
And with that, is there any other comments? Okay, so roll call, Jeremy, actually, we have to make a motion and then also roll call?
Yeah.
Okay, so anybody want to make a motion?
I'll move to approve oh, go ahead. You're a candidate, babe.
Okay, I will motion to approve item 6.6.
I'll second the motion. All right.
Roll call, Stephanie Amato,
Yes.
Eric Heitz,
Yes.
Bill Adams,
Yes.
Rich Carnation,
Yes.
and Jackson Caligari.
Yes.
Malinali Lopez, absent, sorry.
Absent. Okay, motion passes. All right, moving on to 7.1, future school board agenda items. How much, Bill, did you have any, on the future items? Was there something?
Yeah, I wondered where we were on potentially getting a joint meeting date with the town.
With the town or with the police?
Both.
Well, I think the one with the police is more the security briefing.
Yes, correct.
But I was thinking more our recurring joint meeting with the town council and the board meeting together. We had put it off pending the special election a few months ago. There's another one coming up. I would really suggest we try and have one before the end of the calendar year is out. I don't know what their summer is like, but there are some issues. I think it's always helpful. Actually, when we were over at an event over at Casey's, several of us, some of the people asked, are we going to get together again? And I think we should try and plan that.
We're working on it right now. I know
Has a
Jen
new
is
town
active.
manager been appointed yet? Do we know?
I haven't heard anything.
Okay, maybe have that be the trigger to my colleagues on the board that when your counterpart from across the parking lot is here, you all talk. And I would think, once that he or she gets their feet on the ground, maybe a month or so after school starts. But I think it would be valuable to do one. I don't want to necessarily wait until each election cycle goes through and whatever stability is.
New people being onboarded.
We need to have a conversation with them about some stuff now and, depending on what, our board election looks like, depending on what the council election looks like, the mayor election, perhaps again, early next year, we have another one because then, the bodies will be settled and we'll know that.
Jen just texted me. I think it's on their end. We're trying to have a meeting. We're ready. I think they may be holding off.
Thank you,
until they
Jen.
Get a town manager in place, but
Yeah,
it looks like
okay.
it's kind of in their hands.
Okay, I think that's a trigger when we get your counterpart over there.
I believe I saw something where the town council has an upcoming agenda item, recording about closed session about the
Deployment.
new appointment. Yeah, so that might be coming pretty quick. So anyhow, just saying, anybody else, any other future board? I have one thing, but.
I would like to make mention and maybe get some clarity. We don't meet next month at all, correct?
Yeah, I don't believe we do.
I don't think we have a calendar on here.
Nothing on there.
We'll be meeting the third week of August. Is that correct? It's a long time in between. I didn't know if we'd have an interim meeting or not, so.
If we need to, if items come up, I'll definitely,
Yeah.
have a special board.
We're
meeting.
having a workshop.
So we had talked a little bit about whether you wanted the board to come to a portion of your leadership board admin team retreat, which I think was in August.
Correct.
The other
First and
pieces
second.
we may want to talk, and you and President Rich could maybe look at that about and that may be the time to revisit tweaking board district goals. I kind of like if we could do that and have a finite amount of time for 2 or 3 hours and we show up and help with that and then be on our way and you can go back to your business of the organization as CEO. But I do think something before 8 weeks from now or 7
Agreed.
weeks from now would be valuable.
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have a retreat on the calendar aside from possibly attending.
Correct. I was
existing
hoping
one.
that I would have you guys there for half the day on the 1st of August with the full leadership team. We're putting together that agenda now. But also, having said that, I want to have a separate meeting with just the board to do board goals.
Okay,
So we just got to calendar it.
all right. Once Jen is back in the driver's seat, she can help us all with that.
Yes, sir.
And then the other area, we talked about this a little bit at the last meeting, that I'm just personally interested in. It seemed like there was, I think, unanimous interest from the board is looking at school lunches,
Oh, that's right.
vendors,
Yes.
where our food is maybe coming from, whether we, looking at budget, looking at kind of just understanding the layout of that, especially now that we offer food for all of our students,
Yeah.
really understanding how much we're getting and what flexibility we have, even potentially to like source more local ingredients, which we may be doing. I don't really know. So just getting the baseline information.
I'll make sure that we add that. I'll put that on a parking lot for future discussion. Well, Jen will, she's listening, so we'll make sure we add that. It's not on there yet, but it will be.
Thank you.
If there's nothing else, I just want to end with this. Lisa, again, thank you. It's been great. And Sharon, since you're coming on, one of the things for future board items, I think it's important to mention, we have board norms and procedures. One of those is that if the assistant superintendent is eating a very, very nice looking, slow chewing caramel candy bar in the middle of the meeting when we are starving and haven't had dinner yet, part of the board norm says you have to bring a 6 with you for us and student board member Jackson, because because you're coming in the middle kind of thing, so you don't get to go to one of those fancy little deals where they tell you all these things. So I know I'd forget if I don't bring it up now.
We
And-
can set the standard.
And what I have to say is that he and Eric have snacks in between them that you can't see.
It's
So I have to
it's
out them
gross
that
up here, if
they're
you can see.
some kind of roasted chocolate.
no,
nut-
it's-
So,
I'm trying to eat everything that Eric eats. So are these. These were like. Eric told me, he says, here's some walnuts, they're high in protein. And I go, now I'll pass. And then
Yeah.
he said, they're candy coated. They're almost gone. So
yeah, so
I'm just
before
trying to eat
he
like
makes you
Eric.
feel bad, just know that there's a whole snack situation happening.
Yes. And you're invited, but we want you to share.
Yeah.
And really, as the loyal assistant to his left, he's trying to get past 8 o'clock, so we don't say, come on,
No.
Rich, you got to have a meeting that goes at least 2
No,
hours.
I was really determined to get at 7:30, but we still are, I think this is the quickest we've ever had a meeting.
Yeah.
And Eric and Bill were trying to throw me off. So anyhow, with that, is there anything else? Or are we
Yeah.
making a motion to adjourn?
I like, as our one of the 4011 votes, I will just shout his praises. Jackson was sharing with me how cool it was. He was in Sacramento last week for Boys State, which is a big deal. And how we were talking legislative stuff and making sausage and he said he almost had to impeach he was the minority leader, right? And so future legislator up here at the dais, and kudos to you in all seriousness. That's a big deal. So, well
you.
done.
And just real quick, because I got 30 seconds. None of the wrestling coaches were able to take the kids up to Reno to the little team camp that they have. And so they asked me if I would go. And so I took a bunch of the kids in the Jag wagon up there to Reno. Kids did great. I forgot how fun it is to talk smack with the kids in the summer and the chatty Cathys that were talking in the car all the way home. And it was a lot of fun. It's been great being on the board and doing a lot of things, but man, I really miss being with the kids. And they were so well behaved. Austin Fredrickson, incoming senior, one of our really, really good guys, and did an awesome job. I mean, he's really matured into that role as an upperclassman and did a great job with the kids. And I had a great time. It was a lot of fun. And it wasn't 110 degrees there either. So anyhow, it was a good time. And Windsor's an awesome place. And that's it. Good night, everybody. At 7:59 and 30 seconds. Oh, we didn't
I
adjourn?
think he decreed.
Oh, I decreed 4